trending. The next step to just having an overall better online presence and a better sales site, right, is having a clean portfolio. And you may have some good stuff. If you want to start building it up, that's what we're going to talk about now. And there's a couple of things to it. And first, I just want to start by saying, if you don't quite have the portfolio yet and you feel like, oh, my work's not quite good enough to charge higher prices, we got to start working on that. It's not just going to happen magically. So you have to invest in yourself. And sometimes it's going to be using those client budgets to invest in yourself. Let's say it is a music video or it is just a little interview for $750. You don't have to be just looking to take a profit. As you building, as you're growing, some of you guys are still working a 9-to-5. Some of you guys are trying to make this work freelancing. But you want to be positioned in business. You want to position yourself to where as you're building that company, you're not eating off of it too, right? So when you have the chance to be able to invest in yourself, let's say it is $750, go get a better camera, hire some people to help you to make that production run smoothly so now you can make a $750 video look like a $3,000 video. That's going to take those reinvestments to really start to build your portfolio. You're like, man, I can't never get a project where I can afford to pay myself and to get a cinema camera. Don't pay yourself, right? That's the only way you can make that happen. Other ways you can build your portfolio is to just do work for free or lower price. If people don't turn down free work. Now some of your companies you can't just go to Coke and be like, hey, I'll shoot you a free video. But some of your small businesses, some people in your specific industries you're looking to work to, you can just talk to them, network with them, message them and say, hey, here's some of the work I have done. I'm really hungry. I'm just looking to build my portfolio. I think a video would help you. I see here's some areas where these videos can help. Do you mind me shooting this for free for you? If you don't like it, you don't have to post it, whatever. So build that portfolio up, right? And I need you to be able to build a reel and have sample videos that tailor to your industry. So that's what we're going to get into now is, so let's say you're on set, you're getting these bigger productions, but it's like, okay, what do I do? How do I make it look better? Let's talk about that. It all comes down to a few things from, just knowing the cameras that you're using. We're in the video world, depending on what you're shooting. And if you're by yourself or not, you have to be smart. So you don't want to go try to get like a Red or Ari that can't do autofocus if you're shooting an event, or if you're still not skilled like that. There's nice cameras out there. Right now I'm shooting on the Canon C70 that has autofocus, but still gets a good quality and different things like that. You can use autofocus lens and still use good quality. The most important things in getting an image is not always the camera, to be honest. Lenses, right? Lenses are huge, and lighting. If you have a quality lens, you do have a suit where you can use a cinema lens, have that nice glass. It'll help your image look better. You don't want to be shooting on kit lenses that start at a aperture of like 3.5-4. You do want to be able to have that blurred background and just have a nice crisp image. I'll talk about lighting in a little bit, but lighting is what is really gonna make your videos stand out, right? Right now, my lighting, this looks kind of flat. I'm on a flat green wall. There's not much contrast going on. The lighting's even all across my face. I just got a little light boosting up, put the ceiling to, so you guys can see me. But if this was a client video, I might have a floppy right here to give a little bit of contrast, a nice soft light over here. We don't want harsh light. When people start to get light, and they're like, oh, I want to get a big strong light to make sure I got this 600X or whatever. Yeah, that's cool and all, but just making sure it's soft. We don't want harsh light on people. Just having like a hair light and different things like that. So all of that's important. If you guys don't know, you may or may not know this, but even down to your shutter speed and understanding it and tailoring it to your productions is very important. You might know the 180 rule, right? Which is, if you're shooting at 24 frames a second, 24 FPS, you want your shutter speed to be 1/48. That's the double rule. Shooting on a cinema camera, 180 is that double rule, right? But even starting to understand motion blur, right? If I'm shooting maybe sports, this comes down photography and everything like that, and I want to be able to see some more of those motions and not have anything blurred, I want to make sure that I remove motion blur, right? So removing motion blur on your shutter speeds, you're going to take that number down. So it might be you're shooting 24 frames a second, and now you're shooting at 1/24 as well, or 90 degrees, different things like that. And if you want to add motion blur for just action or just making it look blurry, or different things like that, you're going to increase those numbers. So just different things like that. Just making sure you get clean angles, not always just shooting flat, right? Make sure you shoot, you have something in the foreground that kind of makes it look just a little more intriguing, and really just study your angles. I'll probably attach some stuff to this so you guys can just have some references. Being creative with your angles. I'll tell all my shooters, get 3 levels of B-roll, right? Close up, medium, and wide. That'll really separate you from a lot of filmmakers who just everything looks the same, right? You want to be able to just have variety. And let's say you're shooting an interview, we've all seen, those interviews where they're talking like this, but you want to know when to use that, right? And if you are going to use that, you want to put them on that rule of thirds. If it's documentary, you can get a little creative with it. But if it's a PSA or an announcement, you want to make sure, hey, I am talking directly to the person. If it's like an important person just giving out some information about a company, you can't do that interview style, especially if the person doesn't need to ask them questions. You can have them to where they're looking off camera. So just knowing those things, having good lens choices, just knowing when I need to use like primes versus zooms and everything like that. Just getting to learn your lenses, knowing your stabilizers. A lot of times we're fighting with gimbals or just doing all of this and that. I will say that my big preference is Steadicam. If you can afford it, definitely go for it. That's usually big commercial film, different things like that. But get you a nice small camera. Like I said, the Sonys, the Canons fit well on a gimbal. Definitely start to use those. Just know the difference of when to go handheld or not. Hire ACs to pull focus. And, speaking of ACs, when you're working with a team, some of the most important people, when you want to step up your production, you want to be able to get a gaffer, somebody can do the lighting for you. Depending on what your expertise is, you might need to hire a director of photography who is like, hey, and directors of photography, you can find people for around, depending on how long your shoot is, on the low end, 500 to 1,000 a day. Some of the good ones will work anywhere from like 1,500 to 3,000 a day. So just start to think about that. If you're not that great at directing, you prefer to be on director of photography, a director is good to hire. So you want to have that director of photography, the gaffer, and then audio. Audio is huge. I have a whole separate video just on audio. So just knowing that, and then as you begin to work more creative productions, just having that assistant director, the assistant camera that can just help your production run smoothly. Those are things that you want to do. And there's another thing as far as learning your cameras is learning how to know the exposure, know the, each camera, you need to just be looking up all the YouTube videos, reading the manual on it, knowing the native ISOs and knowing, okay, how does my camera operate in the highlights? How does it operate in the shadows? All of that, getting a good, clean image, making sure it's not noisy. I see so many beginners that are working on footage that they're trying to get that raw or that log look, but don't know how to color grade it. So make sure you're looking up, researching your camera, how best to color it, and what LUT to put to convert it to where it looks as natural as possible. And just understanding, it's going to get really deep when you start learning and I might just attach some videos to this to kind of go into that in more detail, but you want to understand false color, how to understand your exposure, your waveforms. All of these are things that you need to start to understand to get better images, how to make sure your images aren't flat. You never want to shoot flat white walls. Like this is very boring. If I had like a sign up there, a painting or something like that, you know, you don't want to shoot flat walls. You don't want the lighting to look flat, different things like that. So just making sure your locations look good, and everything like that. I really just want to talk about camera real quick and just make sure you guys are prepared to really shoot higher end footage.